Welcome to Have You Read It, the channel where we bring books to life, one summary at a time. Whether you're here for self-help, personal growth, or business inspiration, there's something for everyone. Today we're tackling a book that promises to revolutionize the way we achieve goals, especially in the face of daily chaos. It's called The 4 Disciplines of Execution: Achieving Your Wildly Important Goals, often shortened to 4DX by Chris McChesney, Covey, and Jim Huling. Now, if you're a leader of any kind, a team leader, a department head, a CEO, or even just someone trying to get things done at home, this book is for you. It's a practical guide to achieving your most important goals, even amidst the whirlwind of everyday life. Let's dive into the core issue. Why is execution so hard? The authors argue that it's not about strategy, planning, or resources. It's about changing human behavior. Think about it. Every meaningful goal requires us or others to do something different. But as anyone who's tried to break a bad habit or start a good one knows, changing behavior is tough. The book kicks off with some compelling examples. We hear from Alex Azar, a VP at Eli Lilly, who saw a team transform their performance using 4DX. Then there's B.J. Walker, Commissioner of the Department of Human Services for Georgia, who faced a demoralized workforce and huge backlogs. And finally, there's Brian Hilger, the General Manager of the Bethesda Marriott, tasked with boosting guest satisfaction scores despite a recent renovation. What did all these leaders have in common? They were trying to execute strategies that required significant behavioral change. And the solution they all discovered was the 4 disciplines of execution. The authors differentiate between 2 kinds of strategies: stroke of the pen and behavioral change. Stroke of the pen strategies are things you can make happen just by authorizing them. Think budget approvals, new hires, or policy changes. Behavioral change strategies, on the other hand, require people to do something different, and that's where the challenge lies. So what's the real enemy of execution? The authors call it the whirlwind, the daily grind, the urgent tasks that consume our time and energy. The whirlwind is not bad in itself. It keeps things running. But it can suffocate important goals if we're not careful. They use a great analogy of gnats constantly getting in our eyes, so we can't see what really matters. And when we look back over the last 6 months, we haven't accomplished any of the important things we said we were going to. The 4 disciplines are not about eliminating the whirlwind. They're about executing your most critical strategies in the midst of the whirlwind. These disciplines are a product of years of research and more than 1,500 implementations, so they've been thoroughly tested and refined. Let's break down each discipline. Discipline 1. Focus on the wildly important. The authors argue that less is more. We're wired to focus on one thing at a time, but as leaders, we often try to juggle too many goals. They recommend identifying 1 or 2 wildly important goals, or WIGs, the goals that will make all the difference. They say, if every other area of our operation remained at its current level of performance, what is the one area where change would have the greatest impact? A WIG is like the one plane landing in an airport control tower. The controller is aware of all the other planes, but her primary focus is on the one that needs her attention right now. To identify your WIGs, you need to avoid 2 common traps. First, saying yes to too many good ideas. Second, trying to turn everything in the whirlwind into a WIG. The key is to narrow your focus to the vital few, the 1 or 2 goals that will have the greatest impact. Like Steve Jobs said, "I'm as proud of what we don't do as I am of what we do." WIGs should always have a finish line, expressed in the format from X to Y by when. This creates clarity and makes the goal measurable. The book highlights President Kennedy's challenge to NASA: land a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth before this decade is out. This was a perfect example of a WIG, clear, measurable, and with a deadline. It focused NASA's energy and drove them to achieve the seemingly impossible. Discipline 2. Act on the lead measures. This discipline introduces the concept of leverage. It's about focusing on the actions that will drive your WIG forward. The authors distinguish between lag measures and lead measures. Lag measures are the measurements of the WIG itself, the results you're trying to achieve. These are usually the things we spend most of our time worrying about, like revenue, profit, or market share. But by the time you get a lag measure, it's too late to do anything about it. It's already in the past. Lead measures, on the other hand, are the measures of the most high-impact things your team must do to reach the WIG. They're predictive. If the lead measures change, you can predict that the lag measures will change too, and they're influenceable. The team can directly affect them. Think of losing weight. The lag measure is pounds lost, but the lead measures might be calories consumed and hours exercised. The book underscores that focusing on lead measures is often counterintuitive. We're wired to focus on the lag measures, the ultimate results, but it's the lead measures that actually drive those results. The authors compare managing a company by looking solely at financial data, lag measures, to driving a car by looking in the rear-view mirror. Lead measures eliminate the element of surprise. They allow us to see the impact of our actions before the lag measures arrive. Two kinds of lead measures are described: small outcomes, which focus on achieving a weekly result, and leveraged behaviors, which track specific actions. Both types are valuable. They highlight the Oakland A's, the baseball team that turned things around by focusing on the lead measure of on-base percentage. They realized that players who consistently got on base, even without hitting home runs, were more likely to score runs and win games. They applied this insight and built a winning team despite having a small budget. Discipline 3. Keep a compelling scoreboard. This is the discipline of engagement. People play differently when they're keeping score, and even better when they are keeping score, not their boss. This means creating a scoreboard that is compelling to the players, not just to the coaches. The book shares the analogy of a high school football game where the scoreboard had blown down. The fans couldn't tell the score, so their interest waned, even though an important game was taking place. A player's scoreboard needs to be simple, visible, and show both lead and lag measures. It has to tell you instantly whether you're winning or losing. The authors call this the 5-second rule. They differentiate between a coach's scoreboard, which is often complex and data-rich, and a player's scoreboard, which is simple and focused. The key is to make the scoreboard about the team's game, not the leader's. Discipline 4. Create a cadence of accountability. This is where the rubber meets the road. The first 3 disciplines set up the game, but Discipline 4 is about getting in the game and playing to win. It's about holding each other accountable, frequently and regularly, for achieving the WIG. The primary tool for Discipline 4 is the WIG session, a short, regular meeting where team members report on their commitments, review the scoreboard, and plan for the next week. These meetings typically last 20-30 minutes and should be held at least weekly. The authors emphasize 2 crucial rules: consistency and keeping the whirlwind out of the WIG session. They highlight the story of Eric Weihenmayer, the first blind person to summit Mount Everest. His team held daily tent meetings to review their progress, learn from each other, and make adjustments. This cadence of accountability was critical to their success. In a WIG session, team members answer 3 simple questions. What did I commit to last week? How are we doing on the scoreboard? What will I commit to this week? The book emphasizes making personal commitments, not just assigning tasks. This increases ownership and drives engagement. The authors also underscore the importance of making commitments unconditional, not subject to the whims of the whirlwind. Now, a big part of successful 40X implementation involves understanding how people react to change. The book outlines 5 stages. Getting clear. This is where the team commits to a new level of performance, defines the WIG and lead measures, and creates a scoreboard. Launch. This is where the team begins executing. The authors acknowledge that launches aren't always smooth. You'll have models who embrace the change, potentials who might need some encouragement, and resistors who push back. Adoption. This is where the team begins to internalize 4DX. Resistance fades, enthusiasm grows, and the team becomes accountable to each other. Optimization. The team shifts to a 4DX mindset, looking for ways to improve performance and play to win. Habits. 4DX becomes a habit, driving sustained, superior performance. The goal is to make the new behaviors a part of the whirlwind, creating a higher-performing whirlwind. A critical aspect of 4DX is moving the middle. This involves shifting the performance of the middle 60% of your team closer to that of the top 20%. The authors emphasize that achieving a WIG is not just about a few superstars, it's about raising the performance of everyone. The book also shares best practices from the best, featuring insights from leaders like Alec Covington of Nash Finch and Dave Grisson of Marriott International. They discuss the importance of cultural fit, leadership commitment, infrastructure, and celebration. Focusing an entire organization on WIGs is a bigger challenge than focusing a single team. The book outlines 4 crucial rules. No team focuses on more than 2 WIGs at the same time. The battles, team WIGs, must win the war. Overall WIG. Senior leaders can veto, but not dictate team WIGs. All WIGs must have a finish line, from X to Y by when. The authors recommend fighting only one war, overall WIG, at a time. They use the example of Opryland Hotel, which focused on the war of guest satisfaction. They identified 3 key battles: arrival experience, problem resolution, and food quality. Then, each department defined their own team WIGs to support these battles. Rolling 4DX out across an organization requires a systematic approach. The book recommends a 6-step process. Clarify the overall WIG. Design the team WIGs and lead measures. Leader certification. This is where leaders are trained to launch 4DX with their teams. Team launch. The leader introduces 4DX to the team, reviews the WIG and lead measures, and conducts a practice WIG session. Execution with coaching. The team begins executing with guidance from an experienced coach. Quarterly summits. Leaders report on their progress to senior management. The role of a 4DX coach is emphasized, someone who can help teams stay on track, troubleshoot problems, and celebrate wins. The book also answers frequently asked questions about implementing and sustaining 4DX. It covers everything from generating buy-in to handling resistors, dealing with plateaus, and aligning compensation. It also offers specific guidance for different types of teams, including manufacturing, high-tech, sales, government, and military. Finally, the authors bring it home by showing how 4DX can be applied to personal and family goals. Jamie Downs' story about using 4DX to manage her weight gain during pregnancy highlights the power of these disciplines in all areas of life. So, what's the main takeaway? The 4 disciplines of execution provide a powerful framework for achieving your most important goals, even in the midst of the whirlwind. Here are some easy-to-remember heuristics. Focus. Narrow your focus to 1 or 2 WIGs. Leverage. Act on the lead measures. Engage. Keep a compelling scoreboard. Account. Create a cadence of accountability through regular WIG sessions. Thanks for watching. Have you read it? Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next book dive.